They try to put on a brave face in every question and press conference and podcast. I also think that they know they're not about to be NBA champions because of Jimmy Butler.
I'm going to take it a step further.
Tim Kawakami offered this, just saying, in the 2 games prior to Jimmy Butler's arrival, Curry was scoring an average of 34.5 points, but taking 33 shots to get there. In the 2 games with Jimmy, Curry's averaged 36 points on an average of just 21.5 shots. Not only is that more efficient, but it saves gasoline. Steph Curry has to burn more gasoline to get a shot off in a game before Jimmy arrived than he has to burn gasoline to get a shot off now. The two of them have a gravitational pull that helps the other. Butler's pulling guys off the perimeter, and Curry pulls guys out of the lane, and Jimmy can go into it and attack. And that's why it's working. I want to share, Cyrus, this video of Draymond Green talking about what – hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. Let me go over here. Let me press play. Let me be quiet. Here we go. This is Draymond, Baron Davis talking about Jimmy Butler's arrival and just how it's fitting together early because he and Steph complement each other. Here we go.
Like, we got Jimmy Butler. Like, this is no small deal. It's Jimmy Butler. Steph, he looked like he got belief. After the trade, he looked at me and he said, man, it's crazy because it just dawned on me that, like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, this is
the last run.
Last ride. Like, and I said, let's do it.
Let's ride to the wheels fall off.
Like, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
It was an emotional moment. You know, people get caught up in all the stuff that was going on in the Miami last podcast. Remember, I had said, I just don't want Jimmy to end up in the spot where they use that against him. The reason I said that is because it's a guy that I respect as a winner.
Yeah.
I've been victim of people trying to take a winner and tear him down through all these false narratives. And so I've been a victim of that. And as you see, coming out of it, you're seeing exactly the Jimmy Butler that I knew. I feel great, brother. You know, it's been a while since I've gone into basketball games like, oh, yeah, we're going to go just win. Stuff going to get harder. We're going to have to figure stuff out, you know, but I know when it's right.
There you go, Cyrus. You know, I think the kids, it's got a word for it. Vibes. The vibes are now right again. And Steph Curry, Draymond had a reason to be dobbered down. These guys know. You didn't have to tell either Steph or Draymond this shit isn't fitting together anymore. It's not where they know. They try to put on a brave face in every question and press conference and podcast, but they knew they were on a fast track to nowhere. I also think that they know they're not about to be NBA champions because of Jimmy Butler, but they feel good. Look good, feel good, play good is part of that equation, man. I think they feel good about this, and where it goes, I don't know exactly where this goes.
No one knows. Clearly, no one knows. But I'm going to take it a step further, and I do think this team is a legitimate contender. In the Western Conference, we've talked about this, right? Parity has completely taken over, at least I'd say overall in the total NBA, but particularly in the Western Conference, where you look at seedings 2 through 12, and a month from now, it could be flipped. And I don't think people would be blown away by that. It's wide open. The Warriors were in it incredibly with the previous iteration. Warriors 1.0, the version nobody gave a shit about because it was dull, boring basketball that wasn't going anywhere. That version was still a playoff contender, as crazy as it sounds. The Warriors, as currently constructed, with Jimmy Butler now on board, with the trade where a subtle yet huge part of this as well, Dennis Schroeder being off the roster because it's one less little hobbit-sized point guard that Steve Kerr had as a crutch that he's no longer going to, right? So we're not seeing we're not seeing 4-guard lineups. Now we're seeing 3-guard lineups.
The guy that they traded for the Dennis Schroeder that they never got.
Yes.
Exactly. So much better before he joined the Warriors, and then he just regressed in every conceivable way, and it didn't work out. What I like is that they got off of it quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's no point in playing Dennis Schroeder in a singular minute ahead of Podziemski or Moody when he's playing like that. And they were compelled to play Schroeder. Now that's gone.
Absolutely. And we could talk about it now or another show, but I do think the Dennis Schroeder trade was like the final straw for the front office going, all right, Steve, we've tried it your way for 2.5 years. We're going to go back to some common sense and some logic and reasoning with the decisions we make here. The Dennis Schroeder experiment was awful. My point is, the Warriors, this new look Warriors team with Jimmy Butler, a superstar now added to the roster, to me, there's only one team in the West that is daunting and unreadable in terms of what the matchup would look like, and that's the Denver Nuggets. As weird as this sounds, the LA Lakers getting Luka Doncic, I think big picture, long-term, is a magnificent move for them. This season, the Lakers without AD suddenly makes them beatable in the eyes of the Warriors, right? It's all about matchups. There's one team to me that scares me for the Golden State Warriors, and that's the Denver Nuggets. And we're going to talk about the buyout market in just a second, because I don't know if that's where the answer is. I don't know if the Warriors already have the answer. They have a deep front court. They've got 3 centers that they could throw at Jokic throughout a game to set up Draymond to finish. But I really do believe the Warriors are in the hunt for a 5th championship for Steph, largely not so much because the Warriors themselves are suddenly this all-time great team. No. But in 2025, when you look at the NBA landscape, there's only a handful of teams who are contenders. Who's scaring the Warriors? The Thunder, a team that the Warriors already beat 2 out of 3 times, they almost beat a 3rd time. The Boston Celtics, who they split the season series with. Cleveland is daunting, yes. The Nuggets are daunting, yes. Those are the 2 teams that scare me, but I think the Warriors are in it, man. Your thoughts?
I still haven't seen it with Kuminga yet, so I got to watch that. Yeah. I got to see if Trayce Jackson-Davis can't play himself back into a rotation, or if it's going to be like Moody, and good luck with that as far as your front court presence the rest of the way. Can Draymond really give you a half a season and a full playoff run being your primary 5? Because it looks like that could be the direction they're going in. And I just don't know yet.
Yeah.
I think that this Luka Laker thing could be like an instant problem right now. I really do. I've only, again, haven't seen enough of it, but Dalton Connect now coming back because that trade got rescinded. What does that look like with Austin Reeves? We got 3 white boys on the Lakers now. What the fuck? I mean, this is going to get more interesting before I think I know what the Lakers are, and certainly what I know the Warriors are. What I do like about this, though, is that when Jonathan Kuminga comes back, he finally now, Steph or Cyrus, has a
Thank you. I'll take that mistake. Call me Steph all day, every day, man. Thanks for that. Yeah, good stuff. I like the Freudian slip there.
Cyrus Curry, the short order chef. Make a really good grilled cheese. Seriously, when Jonathan Kuminga looks at who do I want to be on this team, I don't think anyone really wanted to be Andrew Wiggins. Maybe defensively, there were some, noble pursuits there, but offensively, I hate Andrew Wiggins' game. Don't be like that guy.
No.
No one can play like Steph Curry, but Steph Curry. Klay Thompson was the closest thing we've come to it, but it's not available. Maybe Trae Young. You can't play like Draymond because that's basically being devoid of an offensive game, and a classic offensive game where you're shooting, you're scoring. Draymond obviously is a good offensive player. You just have to interpret what that means more than on other guys. I want Jonathan Kuminga to say, I want to be like Jimmy Butler when I grow up. I want Jonathan Kuminga to look at Jimmy Butler, how he attacks the basket, how he gets to the free throw line, how he keeps pressure on everyone by going to the rim and takes pressure off the perimeter by going somewhere other than the perimeter. I want Jimmy Butler to be the dog that Jonathan Kuminga now puppy dogs the rest of the year. Follow that guy. Be like that guy. And if that brings us a new level of Jonathan Kuminga, who this team now, your deadline is come and gone. You are committed to Jonathan Kuminga. Full stop. Play him 40 minutes. Play him 40 minutes a night.
Yes.
Let's see what you finally got. Kuminga, Butler, Curry, Draymond, player X. Are you going big or going small at that point?
That 5th spot is.
Yeah.
Yeah. is wide open. Did you see or read, I'm sorry, what Anthony Slater wrote? This has been all over the social media circles in case you don't have a subscription to The Athletic.
I do.
Joe Lacob told Anthony Slater that Jonathan Kuminga isn't going anywhere. He loves him. Music to my ears. Because just like you said, with Jimmy Butler on board, Jonathan Kuminga now has a mentor, someone to model his game after that he hasn't had on this roster. And if Jonathan Kuminga can be 3/4 of what Jimmy Butler has become, I'm happy, right? I mean, realistically, it could be much higher than that. But no, you've seen these facial expressions Kuminga has shown while he's still recuperating it, traveling with the team, watching Jimmy Butler on the court, the impact he's having with Steph and vice versa. You could tell he's giddy. He actually went on Twitter for the first time in almost a year. He expressed that he was not going to use the platform like a lot of people. He's so excited he came back to Twitter and said he's itching to get back on the basketball court. I'm 1,000% with you. Like the minutes I've been saying for years that Kuminga should be getting at least 30 plus just to develop and become the player we hope he's going to be. The Warriors have 4/5 of a dynamic lineup. The 5th is a wild card. And I don't know if it's going to be dependent on the night, whether it's Buddy Hield, whether it's Brandin Podziemski, whether it's Moses Moody, whether it's Quentin
I think you
Post.
got to hot hand that, right? You got to just go with your hot hand. By the way, very good point made here by Andrew Fortune, saying that TJD needs to learn how to shoot if he's going to stay in the NBA. Now, I'm the biggest Trayce Jackson-Davis fan you're going to find on the internet today. You're 100% right. Let me tell you right, here's the thing. Trayce is never going to be a shooter. What he has to do is learn how to finish. Like when we talk about who smokes the most amount of open look layups in the NBA, the correct answer might be Trayce Jackson-Davis. And what I don't understand is he was not this player in college. He was the guy who went up and yammed it down and wasn't looking for the finger roll or the layup or the flourish around the rim. He was attacked. I want him to believe in himself again as the guy who's going to flush this. I don't know why, let me look at the dunk he put on Giannis last year. Do that, or excuse me, Wembanyama. Do that again. Keep doing that. Just quit the soft shit around the rim. Go to the rack like it slapped your mama. That's what I want.
And again, I'm a fan of Trayce Jackson-Davis. I think a part of this, and we've covered this extensively, and I don't think now's the right time to get negative or focus on Steve Kerr so much, but it is worth pointing out. He's not exactly his strong suit is not developing young talent. Okay, like I think that's a fair statement to make. And the way he's handled Trayce Jackson-Davis has not exactly built confidence in him. Has not exactly led him to growing as an individual. Now, with all that said, the Warriors have not in a long time have had depth like this at the center position, meaning in 2023 and 2024, they had Kevon Looney, and I think that was about it, right? Like, I don't remember much beyond him in terms of having backups. The Warriors now have 3 centers on their roster, and Looney, Trayce Jackson-Davis, and Quentin Post, who's incredibly starting games most nights. I don't know why he didn't start against Milwaukee, but whatever,
why did it take so long to get to this guy?
And that. My point is, I think long-term Trayce Jackson-Davis is going to be okay. I think the team does look at him as a long-term fixture. And when you're looking at teams like Denver, when you're looking at those few teams in the NBA that do have a lot of size, the Warriors for the first time this year, for the first time in years, have depth at the center position, meaning you can just throw bodies at these guys, even if you have to rack up fouls, which is not ideal, but you don't want other players to feel comfortable out there. Nikola Jokic was getting way too comfortable. Evan Mobley, I don't want him feeling comfortable if the Warriors have to play the Cavaliers. Even a team like Boston with Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, they were feeling way too comfortable. Now, Trayce Jackson-Davis may see a role in this big picture, and I do think Trayce Jackson-Davis is a cog in a machine that is pursuing a title, man. I know you're not there yet. I see the bigger picture here with the Warriors and Trayce Jackson-Davis. I think he could still serve a vitally important role in this. And for the Trayce Jackson-Davis fans, yourself included, myself included, I think big picture, 2-3 years from now, he is going to be a vitally important piece.
Look, I hope you're right. Every year I've ever watched him play basketball, he's gotten better until this year.
Yeah.
And call it a sophomore slump. The league is hard on young big men. We didn't get a huge sample size of Trayce when he was given more responsibility. Unfortunately, he didn't answer that bell. I think that Steve Kerr does have too quick a hook on his rookies, but yes. I will also, as a Trayce Jackson-Davis aficionado, tell you that he played himself off the court. He did.
That's fair too.
He did a little, and I think he'll get back into the good graces again just by getting more aggressive. And as was said,
send it in, Jerome.
Dunk that shit. Dunk it.
And again, that is the problem with Kerr. He lacks the patience for developing talent. Like Steve Kerr is the coach you want for a stacked veteran team who just needs a leader to put it all together, right? When it comes to young pieces and having the patience to let them write out mistakes, that is not Steve Kerr. Trayce Jackson-Davis needs to stay out there through the mistakes, and you don't see that, and that's why his development has been stunted a little bit, because the patience is not there to let players like him or Kuminga.
And hindsight's always 20/20, right? You look back and you see it all. The right time to have played him was last year and in the first half of this year, when you're playing a whole bunch of this basketball sucks basketball, yes. And you're not now married to results. After the Jimmy Butler trade, you are married to your nightly results now. It's time to stack some wins if you're going to stack wins. Now's the time. No more time to experiment. Now you got to know who you are. Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.